Hi, NOSA group. I am back. We had some technical difficulties, but anywho, tonight we're going to be talking about compensation. Let's put together that right compensation package and figure out the best way that works best for your particular agency, because there's a couple of different ways to put together a package as well. Welcome to all the new members. We've got quite a few new members the last couple of weeks, as well as the existing members that have been around for some time with us. Thanks for all the support, sharing, working together, and collaborating. It's much appreciated. As well, when you get a chance to jump online, please feel free to drop in the comment box the city that you're from, along with how much does a certified nursing assistant get paid in your area for working at a long-term care skilled nursing facility. So just put a number. For instance, my number is going to be certified nursing assistants in New Mexico get paid $17 working in skilled nursing facilities. So that's the number I'm going to use. So please drop those, because we're going to be using those a little bit later. As well, today is Friday. I hope everybody had a good week. This week has been pretty busy for me, but a lot of great things have happened for me this week. So that's always a good thing. As long as things end off on the right foot at the end of the week, it makes it all worth it. I hope you guys have had a good week as well, been productive, done some things, some marketing, set some goals for yourself also. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about compensation, how it should look for your particular agency, what are some different options that you can use to come up with that. And we're only tonight going to be talking specifically about local candidates. So when I talk about compensation packages, it can look two different ways. So it can include candidates who travel, who go from Pennsylvania to Virginia to work. So those will be travel candidates. And then we also have candidates who work locally. So if I lived in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and I worked kind of in that Philadelphia area and the surrounding areas. So today we're only focusing on local candidates. So just for two good reasons, is because travel is a little bit more complicated and there's way more variables involved. And then this way, once you're able to kind of have down the way you want to do locally, you can kind of incorporate the different things that travel has. So go ahead and let us know where you're from. Wave, let us know you're here, as well as let us know how much a certified nursing assistant in your area, so whatever city you're in, makes working at a skilled nursing facility or long-term care. Because I'm going to be using that number to help us come up with some of the calculations tonight, because we're going to do some demos on that as well. So, and then at the end, if you guys have any questions about pay or comments or suggestions, definitely feel free to do so. And you can also ask those things along the way. So who do we have on live with me tonight? I think we got a couple people. Okay, so, well, let's give everybody a few more minutes to jump on. The live is starting at 8. I know I picked a different time today, and I know everybody's busy, but I try to mix it up a little bit so people can get the chance to jump in at different times. So, oh, Talia, okay. Hi, Talia, you are from PA. Do you know how much a certified nursing assistant in your area makes? And that works in a skilled nursing facility. So that's, I think, sometimes there's variations in pay based on the area, but that may or may not matter based on the specialty. So we're just talking long-term care skilled nursing assistants. Okay, so you said 15 to 20. So I'm going to pick a number. We're going to do 18 for you. Okay, so who else do I have online with me? Anybody else? And then I said for New Mexico, I said 18 as well. I think I said, I'm going to say 17 actually. right, so it's almost 8:10. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If you aren't able to, oh, okay, Mignon, and hi Mignon, you're in Nevada. So I think your number might be close to mine. So do you know what the pay is for nursing assistants in Nevada who work in skilled nursing facilities? I'm guessing like that Midwest, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Phoenix is usually about the same. But if you have a number for me, let me know. So we got Pennsylvania, New Mexico, Nevada. Okay, 12 to 15. Okay, so we're gonna take, let's take 15. I didn't realize it was that low. That's kind of, okay. All right, anybody else? And then I'm also gonna go ahead and jump in because I am familiar with one other state. And I'm gonna add in, for me, I did New Mexico, I'm gonna do Georgia. And I'm actually probably gonna say 15 as well for Georgia. So we have 18 for Pennsylvania. Talia, I just rounded. 17 for New Mexico, 15 for Nevada, and then 15 for Georgia. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So just tonight, we're going to be talking about putting your compensation packages together for local candidates only, and what that should look like, and some of the things that you might want to take into consideration. If you missed out on the beginning, please check us out in the replay, and I'll jump in again as more people join to see what types of numbers we come up with throughout the live. But when you think about compensation, most people only generally think about pay, but compensation could look like a bunch of different things. So some things that you want to consider when you think about compensation is not only base pay, which is typically your 15, 16, 17, 18, you also want to think about bonuses, overtime, recognition and merit, and other non-cash payments. So we kind of have an idea of, what the base pay is. That's what they get paid, their hourly rate, their W-2 or 1099 rate, and then bonus pay. So here are some options that have worked for us that you guys might want to consider. So if you're in a situation when it comes to pay where you're in a state where the pay may not be very high, maybe it's like a 12 or a 15, somewhere in there, and you want to be able to recruit good candidates and sustain them, a great way to do this is offering bonus pay. So if you have situations where people are, if you're working with a facility and they have a lot of hard to fill slots, like they can't fill that 11 to 7 on Friday and Saturday nights for some reason. Or another example would be every pay week, assuming that the place gets paid every other Friday, they get a lot of call-offs. A great way to kind of incentivize your employees is to offer a bonus pay. So if employees pick up shifts on the same day that the shift is opened, we sometimes offer bonus pays on hard to fill shifts. So it's not every shift, but it would be a last minute call from a facility trying to fill tomorrow's shift at 7 to 7. So it's 8 p.m. here on the East Coast. That's a hard to fill shift, but maybe we already have in place some applicants or candidates or employees that would do it. So you may want to incentivize them by offering $20, or $25 on top of whatever their hourly pay is for working that shift. And that allows you to kind of set yourself apart from other agencies as well, in that you're a good agency that can fill last minute needs. So in healthcare, we all know holidays, sometimes it's summertime, it might also be weekends, and it may look different in every area, what that thing is, where you just get a lot of call outs. So an example would be in New Mexico, in my experience, around the pay date for every other Friday, the facilities get a lot of call outs. So even tonight, we have a facility looking for a person to fill a 7P to 7A shift. And they reached out to us about, I want to say 3 hours ago, to get somebody to do the overnight shift. For some reason, that particular region on Fridays has a lot of call outs. Ironically, Fridays is payday. So I haven't really figured out the rhyme or reason behind it, but it happens. Sometimes it happens around holidays. You know, we have the 4th of July coming up, you know, so that's a great opportunity to offer bonus pay to your employees. And that's another way to offer a compensation that's not necessarily increasing their base pay. Because with staffing agencies, you want to kind of maintain a consistent base pay so that you don't have to make as many adjustments. And then when people come in, they know what they're going to get. They know, hey, this is what this agency pays. As well, you will eliminate a lot of the conversations that people have with regards to your pay, so that when you have people working at a facility where there's multiple agencies, you don't have to, even though employees shouldn't, you don't have to be involved in the conversation of, oh, well, they pay this, they pay that, or they paid me this, and then they paid her that. And both of the people work for your agency. So if you keep pay consistent, base pay, you eliminate a lot of that, but you can offer great incentives for your employees as well on top of that. You can also offer recognition and merit pay, or really recognition pay. Let me backtrack. And what that can look like is if your company offers Employee of the Month, you know, that can include a $25 gift card, or it might include a $25 bonus or $50 bonus, depending on how you structure your recognition programs. You know, if you have a employee or several employees that meet the standards that you have set for your agency and are raved about from facilities or clients that you work with, you want to recognize them, but you don't have to increase the base pay to do that. So Employee of the Month, that could be gift cards, or that could be a payment, or that could be a paid day off. It can look a couple of different ways based on what works best for how your organization is structured. And this is CNA week, Certified Nursing Assistants week. So I hope that everybody got an opportunity to at least recognize your certified nursing assistants who work for your agencies and thanking them for what they do. This, just like Nurses Week, even though a lot of people don't think it is talked about, it is heavily talked about as far as just some level of recognition. It can be a t-shirt, as simple as a t-shirt. It can be mugs, it can be money, it can be all three, it could be breakfast, you know, just something to let them know that you appreciate what they do, because working as a certified nursing assistant is hard work. And you want to make them feel like you appreciate having them on your team. So those are just some of the ideas that you can think about. And then, of course, another option that is popular in some places is offering same-day pay. So that's an incentive as well, just because it's not common everywhere. But in the places, or for the facilities that can do it, or agencies that can do it, it's a great incentive. Yes, Lisa, I will save the video. The video is gonna be live for you guys. So you can just do #replay, and then you'll see the video from the beginning. But if we have any new people on, I'm just going into the beginning stages of talking about compensation. And what I'd like you guys to do is let me know what city you're from and what is the pay for certified nursing assistants in a skilled nursing facility where you are located. So, hi Angie. So if you can let me know the city that you're in, and then the pay for certified nursing assistants working in long-term care or skilled nursing facilities in your area. So I'm going to use that later. So that's why I'm asking about it. But just to quickly recap, we just talked about base pay, bonus pay, and I gave the example of offering bonus pay on hard-to-fill shifts, as well as recognition pay, like if you have an Employee of the Month or Employee of the Quarter, you know, recognizing them with some sort of compensation, or, you know, whatever you think that employee might appreciate. Some employees prefer money over food. Some employees prefer food and money. So whatever little combination works. Okay, so Sasha, you're saying in Saginaw, Texas, it's 12 to 15. Okay, so I'm for Texas. Okay. All right. And you can figure that out. And then also some other non-cash options are gift cards. It's Certified Nursing Assistants Week. This would be a great opportunity to recognize your employees in the form of a gift card, if you can. And another incentive would be if your organization is set up that way or is thinking about some ways to set up the payroll, is to do same day pay. So we've seen that as a very popular way to recruit employees by offering same day pay. I've seen it in Virginia through a paid card, and then I've also seen it in New Mexico through direct deposit. So in the two instances, with the pay card, you actually got paid the same day for real. Like you would get paid within a couple of hours of ending your shift. In New Mexico, you actually got paid direct deposit the next day, which of course makes sense because they have to, you know, the bank is closed, so you have to run the actual payroll. But either way, that made employees very happy, and that's also something that in those areas employees look forward to. So, you know, when we recruit in those areas, employees ask us, do you offer same day pay? So same day pay was a little bit new for me, in that, you know, the state that I came from, it wasn't an option. But once you kind of get introduced to something and it's good, you kind of want to see more of it. So it's something to consider. If you're having a hard time recruiting, that's definitely a good option for you to offer employees with regards to pay. All right, Angie, do you have a range for your people as far as how much they get paid for working at skilled nursing facilities? Okay, so just to recap on the rates that we got so far. So we have Pennsylvania, and I'm just going to round it up if you gave me a range. Pennsylvania, for skilled nursing facilities, we have certified nurse and assistants getting paid. I put 18. For New Mexico, I put 17. Nevada, I put 15. Georgia, I put 15. And then Texas, I put 15 as well. And this is just kind of the roundup so that we can do the second part of the live, which is kind of actually the crunching of the numbers so that you can figure out what works best and what doesn't work best for your organization. So what would be, Angie, what's the starting pay rate? We can use that, like if they just have 1 year of experience. I'm gonna say, is it about 16? Okay, so before we get started with the actual number crunching, let's get into what are the things. Okay, so Ohio, Lisa, you said Ohio is 11 to 15. Oh, you guys are surprising me. For some reason, I kind of thought it was going to be higher, honestly. Which is a whole nother. It's no. Okay, so I'm going to give you 16, Angie. Oh, 13. Oh, okay. It's kind of surprising that pay rates haven't moved too much in the last 10 years, but that's another conversation. So things to consider when you're thinking about pay rates. And like I mentioned originally, I'm only speaking about pay rates for local candidates. So your local candidates who live locally, who want to work for your agency. Travelers is a whole nother conversation that I'll probably have at a later date because it requires a whole bunch of other variables that we would have to talk about in the beginning. So for your local candidates, you want to take into consideration on your end when you're coming up with your rate we're gonna do a rate that'll include the billing of the facility, and then from there how you would come to the difference, and that would be the pay that you would give the employee. So you want to consider costs for your insurances. So in order for us to run our agencies, we need to have professional and general liability. In many instances, we also need to have workers' comp. So you want to kind of keep in mind that fee that you're paying, whether it's quarterly, yearly, or monthly. Also, you want to think about unemployment taxes. So I know some of the people in the group are 1099s, but if at any point you decide to do W-2s, you want to consider those two things, which is your insurance to run your business as well as unemployment tax. And then you also want to think about your business taxes, which some places I think you can do them yearly or quarterly, the cost of that, and then any business operational costs. So you kind of want to figure it out into a number. So if you're working from home, you may take into consideration, the cost for your internet, the cost for paper, things of those natures are things you want to think about when you talk about business costs. If you're using some sort of platform like Microsoft Word or Office 365 or anything that you pay a regular fee on, those are some other things that you want to definitely take into consideration. And then finally, for those of you who have employees, so internal employees who work the business side of the agency. So if you have a scheduler or a recruiter or an accountant or a lawyer or those types of people, you want to also factor in the cost that you pay for them into I'm going to say a monthly figure. And then any other fees that impact your business. If you do recruitment fairs, that's something that impacts your business cards, all those things you want to take into consideration and generate a number. So the number should look something like, let's say the number is $1,200, and that would mean that for each month you're paying about $100 to handle these expenses. So now that you have that number, you want to move on to determine what is the going rate for agencies in your area. So we have a couple of different numbers here for CNAs who work in skilled nursing facilities or long-term care. In Pennsylvania, we have 18. New Mexico, we have 17. Nevada and Georgia and Texas, we have 15. And then Ohio, we have 14. And Angie, are you in Wyoming? I think so. In Wyoming, we have 13. So from that number is kind of how you start the process of creating a bill rate, which will then allow you to create your pay rate. So in order to stay competitive, you want to kind of stay within the range, because a couple of you guys gave a range. So you want to stay within that range. And then if there's instances where you feel like you can afford to go outside of it, not go too far outside of it, if you know what I mean. Yes, Wyoming. Okay, thank you. And one thing to consider is that you always have the option of setting up the way you calculate things based on a formula or a percentage, or you can set it up as a flat rate. So let me give the example. So we're going to use the example for New Mexico. So for New Mexico, based on our expenses, we're going to bill the facility $30 an hour. And then we're going to give our employee $17 an hour, which gives us $13 to cover our insurance, unemployment taxes, business taxes, internal employee costs, and any other fees. So this is in an hourly rate, guys. So that's just using a flat rate. So if our flat rate is, we need to make $15 for every hour that our employee works, or we need to make $14, that's how you can do it in that way. But you also have the option of doing it as a percentage. And the percentage a lot of times is a little bit easier of a formula, because you can take the percentage and apply it to certified nursing assistants. You can apply it to nurses. You can apply it to medical assistants. So you can apply it a little bit more easily, just because the bill rates are going to be higher as you go into those people's roles. So if we use the example for Pennsylvania, I can't remember. Who gave me Pennsylvania? Talia. So if we use the example Talia gave for Pennsylvania, and we're charging $18, and or we're paying the employee $18. So if we just use a flat rate like 14, we would only bill the facility $32. So Talia, does that sound about right? Which I think $32 is kind of low. I'm gonna look. Okay. So versus if you did 18, and then if you did say bill the facility 50%, which is about, okay, so that's about $14. But if you change it to 20, it'll look okay. So if we use the example for New Mexico, because I don't have my calculator here, but if we use the example with New Mexico, if we bill 30 and we give the employee 17, we're able to take home on each employee $14 an hour. So if you do that same thing for the different rates that you guys have, that's a little bit easier to do a percentage. So that's about, and you guys help me out a little bit. I think that's, I want to say 40%, 40 to 45% of the bill rate. And then if the pay rate goes up, then you can continue to bill up. So one of the things that I would just take into consideration is using a formula is a little bit easier just because you can move it from person to person, and making sure that you just kind of have an idea of what that particular area's pay rate is, just so that you're being fair. So like, for instance, with Pennsylvania, you wouldn't be able to really get any applicants if you started your pay rates for them at $14. So you want to kind of sit back and really make sure that you're taking into consideration the cost that it costs for you to run the agency, as well as the pay rate. So those are the things that you want to consider when setting bill rates. So some of the questions that come to mind when you think about bill rates. So if you charge 32 or 35, is that too high? No. And I would always caution people to not charge too low, because most facilities and clients already know how much they want to pay. So if I was in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, I would feel comfortable with charging $35 to $40 for a client to have a certified nursing assistant. In doing that, I would also want to make sure to give the nursing assistant at least, 40 to 40% of that back as their pay. And the reason I would do that is because you want to stay competitive, because for the most part, your pay is based on the cost of living typically in that area. So you want to give a fair and a livable wage, and stay competitive. So another great way to find out what agencies are paying is just call and find out what agencies are paying their CNAs. Another free, easy resource is look online. A lot of people post online and different job boards how much agencies are paying in different areas. So you want to stay abreast of that, as well as any benefits that their place may offer. Like some people may say, oh, well, this place offers same-day pay, they offer same-day insurance. Those are all things that are a part of your compensation package that you can offer. And just with the bill rate, you just want to make sure that you're taking all things into consideration. So most rates that are offered are not, I haven't heard of too many instances where someone said, oh, this is too high. I think on the last Facebook Live, somebody had mentioned $40 in Kentucky for a CNA as a bill rate, and then offering $15 as for the employee to take home. which I think is fair and definitely more consistent. And then as you grow with the contract, you'll be able to really identify and increase your prices. You'll be able to be a lot more competitive. You'll be able to set yourself apart to say that you're an agency that does, last minute placements and is easy to get in touch with, and does good follow up and gives us great candidates to work. So as you build that up, you can definitely negotiate a higher rate, which I encourage you to do so. And in negotiating a higher rate, it's kind of up to you to decide whether or not you want to use the additional monies to expand your business, or use the monies to pay a little bit more to your employees. I do know that what I've seen as far as agency pay, it's pretty consistent across the board, from person to person for agencies. So, which is a little bit different than you'll see as a staff employee, where they may get paid, and I think Angie, you gave the example, where they may get paid based on years of experience. So in our agency and many others, if you have 5 years of experience or have 15 years of experience, because we're an agency, we can't bill based on experience. So we do make sure to keep the pay rates pretty consistent from person to person, and it's not based on their years of experience for that reason. So many facilities don't allow you to bill clients or contracts based on experience necessarily. They want to say, hey, we need CNAs working long-term care that have the experience. This is what we can pay. So, okay, so I've done a little bit of talking, and then I wanted to find out, do you guys have any questions? Well, if you guys don't have any questions, if you do, I'm just going to recap because a couple of people joined a little bit later, but I just wanted to share a little bit about the fact that, okay, so Warren